Hello Aries, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Cyril Marchetti. Website on the bottom is llewellyn.com, if I can get this so it takes the glare off. Feel free to check that out, freeze frame, whatever you gotta do, if you want to. There's also usgamesinc.com, I don't think it's on here though, for Cyril stuff. I don't see it. Okay, supportive oracle cards. Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen Raish Baskin. Websites are torihartman.com, watkinspublishing.co.uk, or watkinspublishing.com. Feel free to check out what you'd like, if you'd like, of course. Okay, what do we have for Aries? Ooh, it's a good start. Let me just get them all out. Okay, I'm getting kind of excited, but let's make sure. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. You see, Aries has more dimension to it, to them, than people really give them credit for, is what I kind of get to. When Aries has something to say, boom, you say it. Right to the point, let's deal with it. You are aware of the truth of a matter, though. You also don't waste your time on things that aren't going to make a difference. Usually, at least I would say a more mature Aries energy, if calling this out is just going to make it worse for me or make the situation worse, well, then I have to step back and think about what's going on here, because I'm not going to help somebody else make something worse. Like, if the situation is bad, and by me calling it out, it seems to empower the wrong people, then wait a minute, let me step back and think of a different way to handle that. Because Aries will strategize if necessary. You're not going to empower somebody who's going to make destruction or make problems or make things worse for you. You're not going to do that. But at the same time, you're not going to just pretend like it's not happening. So you're kind of like, all right, let me think what I need to do with this. And there's something around you, there's a situation around you where I feel like you've kind of had to be more conservative with communicating about it. Because again, you're not going to empower somebody to make your life harder. You're not going to empower somebody to, cheat the system more. You're not here for that. But you are keeping your eye on it, and you're like, well, when the moment comes, I'll sort this out, because I'm not going to empower somebody else. I'm not going to say, oh, I see you, just so you can hide it better. No. And that's one of the things I feel like Aries figures out over the years, at least. You call things out, and sometimes when you call things out, it just gives somebody a heads up, like, okay, now if I can sneak out of this, I know the Aries is watching, so I'm just going to make sure that I'm a little bit more sneaky around Aries. And you're like, no, I see what you're doing. I'm just not going to let you know I see it I'm doing, just so I can see how bad you're actually doing it. Aries has a lot of dimension. I just feel like people don't usually see it. Because all they notice is when you call something out, it's very to the point, which is true, but there's a lot more to you than people give you credit for. It is that, well, no, okay. You're holding back, and it is annoying you to no end. You might be getting a little PO'd about it, quite frankly, because it's kind of like, I am sick of this bullshit. I'm sick of this game. It probably is really getting under your skin, kind of like, oh, I know what's going on here, and I don't like it. And I'm not going to empower somebody who's not going to do that. I'm not going to call them out just so they can use it against me or use it against somebody else. I'm not going to do it. So I'm waiting. Okay. You might have an ally here. I really like this. Hold on. Let me shake the dice on it just let's get a little clarity. I think you have an ally here. A very calm, maybe just kind of popping out of the woodwork, kind of like, yeah, I know, Aries, you're right. I've been kind of rolling with it. 6 of Swords and the Strength card. Okay. This doesn't have to be a Sagittarius. Sometimes this card talks about Sagittarius, Temperance. That is very compatible with Aries. Very. Sagittarius is typically known for wanting to get along, though. Yet at the same time, they're not looking to get used. And they're not looking to let others get used either. So they're an interesting flavor, but it's one that is very compatible with Aries. Kind of like when you say that's bull, they're like, yeah, you're right, let's handle it. And they just seem to follow your lead with it. They're more about like, let's make it work out. Let's try to get along, but if we can't, then we can't. What's that other card? The Knight of Fire. But I'm getting the Six of Swords. Like they've probably been looking the other way for a while, but they're also realizing it's time to kind of clean this up. It is time to clean this up. You do have an ally here. They don't really enjoy stress, but they'll handle something if they need to, if that makes sense. If they need to deal with it, they'll just deal with it. That's just how it is. They don't like dealing with that way, but if they need to, then they need to. They will. I keep feeling like there's an interesting flavor with this one that I feel you're coming in contact with. Kind of like, I don't really want to fight, but if they're put up against the wall, if they're backed into a corner, all right, then we got to, and we will. Not against you, but against whatever the problem is. They want something to solve. They know something isn't right. They're bringing you information, something that's been going on for a while. They're adding into your reserves. I see like I'm stockpiling information. They know something you don't, definitely. They might even know why something is happening. So it's kind of like, this reminds me also of like, all right, there's a person here, they seem to be doing things wrong. I don't like how they're doing things. I'm looking directly at this person. They're the one I see physically doing these things, right? And then this other person comes in and says, oh yeah, but by the way, they work with so-and-so, right? So-and-so pulls the strings on that one. This is the person you see doing that. That's the person telling them to do that. That's the person that's holding them down and making them do that. And you're kind of like, what do you mean? More information comes forward. It's kind of like management, if you will. I'm going to go here with this because I've experienced this. You find like you're dealing with your manager or maybe even their manager. Like you're seeing the person who calls the shots above them, and you're thinking, all right, that person is making all this happen this way, and I don't like it. Then you find out, no, it's somebody even farther up that's correlating something, choreographing something. They're creating something that they want certain things. So they're saying, I want this to happen here, so you find a way to make that happen. They're like, okay, I'll get this person to do it that way, and then that's the person you see carrying all these things out. It's a multi-level. I want to say MLM so bad. I don't understand how that fits in here, but if there's an MLM thing going on here, there you go. Multi-level, whatever that is. Multi-level marketing. I don't know why that's popping in, but it just keeps popping in. So if that makes sense to you, do what you got to do with that. Because it seems like multi-level. It seems like this may not literally be one of those MLM things, but it may be that type of situation. That may be how this is going. Like it's trickling down. It feels like that to me. So you get the information, right? And you're like, I almost feel like, all right, the person I thought was the problem is not helpful, but maybe they're not the root cause. And you're like, I'm looking to cut this off at the root. So when you find out where something is coming from, that might change how you feel about it. I keep getting like these analogies too of like, upper management. People think, well, upper management's making the decision, and it's not. It's somebody beyond that. Somebody who doesn't deal with the direct people who are working on the floor. It's kind of like your manager reports to that person. You're like, it must be that person making the decisions. Nope, it's somebody behind the scenes, not even somebody who doesn't even come into the office. You don't even see them. They're the ones who are deciding this is how that has to go. They keep feeling that. And when you see it, I feel the guilt with the Ace of Wands coming in like, well, all right, now that I know where it's coming from, or I have a better idea of where it's coming from, this changes about what needs to happen next. Because you are making a decision. What are you doing, Aries? Because you're fed up with it. You are fed up with it. You got the Wheel of Fortune, and then you got the Two of Pentacles. So if this is a business situation, when you see where the problem is rooted, Okay. If it's too high up, if it's too deep, if you're kind of like, well, it's kind of like realizing it's not management, it's the owner. It's one of those. It's kind of like, well, unless you can warm up to the owner and convince the owner to do things differently, it may be one of those things where I guess I have to make a decision whether this is the company for me. It might be one of those things. Maybe. It doesn't feel good. Because I'm getting like, you have to make some big decisions. Once you find out this extra information, they're like saying, you're going to get more information soon. I feel like this is what this is all about. It's going to trigger the next phase of your life. Once you see it for what it is, it's kind of like, oh, that's what this is. That's why that is happening. Now that I see it in a different light, it's kind of like where I thought I could fix that problem, whether that person's there or not, it doesn't seem like it matters. It's kind of like you can send that person off to another business, fire them, get rid of them, bye-bye, you're done, and put somebody else in that role, and that person in the new role will be instructed to do it the same way the person that left. And it's kind of like, well, I guess that doesn't really solve my problem, does it? It just, might temporarily slow it up, but it'll return to where it was. You're going to come to this spot where you have to make a decision about what. When you see it in this different light, it changes everything for you. And it's kind of like, all right, if that's how this is going, now I have to look at a different way. Like, what do I want to do? And for some of you, maybe it's like, if it's a business thing, maybe you work in a corporation and it's the department head, and you're like, okay, that's a difficult one to deal with. So do I go to a different department? For some of you, maybe it's a location. For others of you, it might just flat out be the company, if it's business. And you might be like, all right, I just got to change my connection here. Now, for others of you where this is not business, I will touch on this. It depends if it's family or friends, and it's kind of like when you see the truth, it's kind of like when you realize, say you have a family member who's usually upset, and it seems like they're creating problems, but then you start realizing what's happening is before everybody shows up, the person they live with, maybe their partner, gets them all riled up, gets arguing with them, causes all these problems, makes everything go wrong, so that by the time you get there, the person that you see having the fit and so angry is the person cleaning up all the messes and putting things right and putting things where they're supposed to go. Meanwhile, the person who started the fire is acting like, I don't know, they just keep yelling and I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why they're like that. When you realize the truth about what's going on, like, I always thought it was this person because they're always difficult for me to deal with. But then when I found out from somebody else, well, this person causes all these problems before everybody shows up, and then this person's in a frenzy trying to fix everything that the other person screwed up, but they don't want everybody to know what this other person did, so nobody knows what's actually happened here. Once you see it for the truth, that might change how you feel about things too. The information is important. It's all about the information. Because I feel like it may change your view on somebody that you thought you really didn't care for. I'm not saying you're going to be best buddies with this person, but when you see the truth about what's motivating them, what's triggering them, why they're doing what they're doing, when you get the truth about why things are happening, it'll change how you view that person. I'm not saying you're going to be best buddies. I'm not saying even you're going to like them. But you might have a different kind of view of like, all right, well, they're between a rock and a hard place. Maybe they're still not your flavor of person, but it's kind of like, now that I see why they're doing what they're doing, this does change how I relate to it. And it's going to change how you handle things going forward. Is there any other advice for Aries about this situation? Three of Pentacles and the Hermit card. You're going to make some long-term decisions, some very difficult decisions. I don't see you making them quickly. Whatever the situation is, I feel like the new information is pivotal, and then I feel like I have to consider what I really want next because it seems to be a big thing. It's kind of like, again, if you're going to change jobs, it's like it's a major difference. It's a major change. If it's somebody, again, friend or family, and you're seeing the truth behind the scenes, I feel like it's not an easy thing to handle. It's almost like maybe a sibling maybe it's their spouse, or maybe it's literally your sibling who's causing these problems, and now you know it, and you're like, if I call that out, there's going to be a lot of fallout from that. Not that we would be wrong for calling it out, but like it's going to cause some big issues. Or it's like if it's an in-law or something causing all these issues, I shake that up. There's going to be a lot of people upset. It's going to change a lot of things going forward for a lot of different people. And that's not lost on you. You know this is going to have a big effect. So you think about, what type of long-term effect do I want? And is this going to make sense for me? This feels like a heavy one. I feel like what they're saying is this information, when it comes in, like I feel like this is information. It's Earth, but I keep feeling like when I'm picking it up, like it's a book, and I'm getting information that I didn't have before. When I get this information, it changes the whole landscape. And you're making some long-term decisions. It's all about, what do I want from this long-term, and how do I get the truth out of the situation without people scampering around and hiding it, and without people getting away with things they shouldn't get away with. I want to make sure the people who did things wrong pay for that, and they're getting called out. And it's not the innocent people, or maybe people who are just going along with something that don't really understand what they're doing. I don't think they should take the brunt of it. I think the people who are causing it should take the brunt of it. So it's kind of like, I got to think about how I really want to handle this. So you got to wait for the information to come forward so you can decide how you really want to handle this. And it's going to take a minute. I'm not getting the answer about how you're going to handle it, but I do see it changes your perception of somebody. Anything else? All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day.